Hello and welcome back for Game 2, where Cloud9 will be facing off against 100 Thieves. And if you want to catch these teams live, join us here at the LCS studio in Los Angeles, California. Tickets are available at riot.com/LCS tickets.
I've got to say, you guys should check it out. The first weekend has been so hype, all the teams tailgating. There's been so much fun going on outside. It's been a great atmosphere, so you guys don't want to miss out.
Absolutely not. Get your tickets now, but the fans here today are ready, so let's go ahead and jump right into those starting lineups. Selecting the blue side, you know him, you love him, is Cloud9 with Licorice in the top lane, Svenskeren in the jungle, Nisqy at mid with Sneaky and Zeyzal bottom lane and support, and who could forget Coach Reaper.
And opposite them on the red side is going to be 100 Thieves. In the top lane, Ssumday. In the jungle, Onda. Mid laner, Huhi. Bot and support going to be Bang and Aphromoo with Coach Braum.
And while both these teams come off a 0-1 start on day one, let's not forget the caliber of opponents they both had to deal with yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, C9 had to face the back-to-back champions TL, who just picked up even core JJ and Jensen in the offseason. And despite the fact that Nisqy had a bit of a rough early laning phase, he really did start to look very good on the Zoe throughout the later stages of the game, hitting so many skill shots and really being a difference maker.
And 100 Thieves didn't exactly have a slouch of an opponent themselves as they fell to TSM.
Yeah, I mean, with these two teams and their opponents yesterday, most people have those as the top 4 in the league. So really tough competition for these guys in week 1. And their loss to me came down somewhat to some pretty narrow win conditions, right? They didn't have a lot of engage, which was so successful for most teams on day 1. They drafted very heavily to win lane and then fight around neutral objectives. They got caught out one too many times, kind of lost that win condition for them there. But you have to say, as a bright point, Bang did still look very good on the Lucian, was ahead in lane as expected, and did not really make any mistakes throughout the rest of the game. But playing from that losing position, it can be very hard to really come back.
Well, all points about strength of schedule aside, nobody wants to start 0-2.
No.
And one of these teams will be able to avoid that reality by pulling out the win here. It should be a good contest between, as you said, a couple teams that everybody almost is considering among the top 4. So let's see how they're going to do it here. Picks and bans already underway. It's Rakan, it's Lucian, it's Akali, banned out by Cloud9. And 100 Thieves are saying no Cassio, no Galio.
I mean, we've only ever had a couple teams who started out 0-2 make the playoffs, right?
It's very rare.
Very, very tough to actually have a really slow start like that and be able to battle back. These are certainly two teams who you could think would do it, especially because of their really tough strength of schedule at the start of the season.
Irelia will be that final ban here for 100 Thieves as Cloud9 decide. That means they want Aatrox first. We've seen quite a few bans against this champion so far here in week 1. Considering it's left open, Cloud9 jumps in the chance.
Yeah, Urgot available. We do see that Sion is available as well if people do want to try to flex some of these around. That is obviously an option, but that could leave you fairly AD heavy, if you are going to be running Urgot Sion or Aatrox Sion along those lines.
I'm having some Worlds 2018 flashbacks where this was the state of a lot of champion selects. Urgot Aatrox, first 2.
Yeah, we saw a couple games.
Maybe just a couple games of League of Legends that looked like that, but 100 Thieves now have 8 seconds left to make that second pick and see what they want to complement the Urgot with here. And Alistar, strong pick in the support lane.
Okay, an aggressive pick there from Aphromoo. We'll see what that's going to be paired up with. Lucian not going to be available for Bang, so he'll have to show us something new here today after his play of that yesterday. And I will be excited to see how Licorice and Ssumday will match up in the top lane.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys have these 2 players as the 2 best in the league, or at least, that very top echelon of top laners in the NALCS. Licorice, despite the loss, I think looked very good yesterday.
Yeah.
Ssumday really did have some struggles on the Viktor. He did get beaten. He did get solo killed by Broken Blade on the Sion. He had the counter pick on the Viktor and, didn't look super comfortable on the champion.
No. But we're going to see Cloud9 pick up the Braum for themselves there for Zeyzal. So tanky support versus tanky support in the bottom lane. See if Nisqy wants to grab his own champion or one of the other ones. Looks like the Ezreal could be the pick here. We saw plenty of play of that yesterday. Champion very strong now. We've seen the amount of damage he can dish out with the reworked W. He has a lot of poke potential, especially if you go for the double tier build and allow yourself to scale up. It hurts to get hit by a Mystic Shot.
It really does, and we're seeing more kind of AP-focused style of builds. As you said, double tier, so people are getting Archangels, but not just that. We are seeing Sork Boots come through. We even saw a Gunblade come through yesterday for some additional AP there. I believe Turtle was the one who actually did build that. So certainly, this is a champion who can do a tremendous amount of poke. But it's not just about that. It's about the safety and flexibility that Ezreal brings you throughout the laning phase. So much of the early game is about controlling vision around objectives, getting vision on the other junglers. That allows your support to roam away, have Ezreal play in a 1v2, have Braum harassing mid lane, have Braum getting deep vision, and knowing your AD carry can be safe by themselves.
All right, into the second part of the bans now. We're going to see Zoe removed. They're saying, all right, we saw Nisqy play that yesterday. As you said, the early game might have been a bit rough for him, but he really turned it on in the later parts of that game, so they don't want to have to deal with that, all those trouble bubbles and paddle stars coming in. And it looks like Cloud9 is saying, okay, no LeBlanc this time around either. You talk about champions with a lot of mobility, a lot of outplay potential. LeBlanc is definitely one of those, and Cloud9 will not be dealing with that here on day 2.
Yeah, definitely the case. Could see some jungle bans coming out as well if they want to target anything along those lines. Camille still available. Has been very high priority for a lot of squads so far, and is available. Karthus, can be a mid laner, but has can be a bot laner as well. It is kind of that flex pick, but mostly in competitive jungle play, we have been seeing it jungle with the Dark Harvest, and 2 mid lane bans going the way of Huhi. So we'll see if they're going to save his pick for last, or if they're going to be looking to actually flex this Urgot to mid. He was playing it yesterday against Bjergsen. Did fine, but was not anything, awe-inspiring on the champion.
Aurelion Sol? No.
Ryze, okay. This still could be flexed, right? So even if they lock the Ryze, you don't necessarily know for sure where each one is going to go. We could very well see them flex that around based on the matchups.
Cloud9 still has to pick for themselves mid laner / top laner and a jungler. So we'll see what exactly they want to go with here, what Svenskeren wants to do. We saw him play the Nunu yesterday. Didn't seem super effective on the champion. We'll see if he goes for something more traditional here this time around.
Yeah. Yeah, you can also remember it's possible for Aatrox to be jungled. We have seen that in this competitive season also. Not expecting it again. It is certainly a lot less common, but flex picks have been so incredibly important, and that is somewhat of the reason that we see certain champions being banned out a lot. Cassio in competitive play is actually being triple flexed a decent amount. We're seeing it bot, mid, top. That is why it is on the ban list a lot, and it's looking like we will be getting a run back of the Nunu. So, oh no, okay, swapping it over to Camille. He's like, I got you.
Yeah, he's like,
I got you flowers.
Just making you worry a little bit, but he locks in the Camille instead. Again, as you said, we've seen a lot of success with this champion. We've seen a lot of popularity on this champion, and for good reason. The ganks are so damn scary. Hookshot flash is just nigh unavoidable. The Hextech ultimatum as the game goes on. Even if you've got a slippery opponent, it doesn't really matter if you're stuck inside the hexagon.
Yeah, you get locked down, and it's a really nice setup for, not just things like the Galio ultimate, Ezreal ultimate coming through over that, Viktor ultimate being layered over the Hextech ultimatum, Braum ultimate coming over that. It really does make it very easy to hit a lot of these skill shots and guarantee that they will land once you've locked in a high priority target, such as Bang on this Kai'Sa. We're gonna have Onda though, bringing out the Nocturne, really gonna be able to kind of dive alongside someone like the Kai'Sa. You could have the Alistar going in, the Nocturne flying in there, Kai'Sa flying into the backline as well, so they're gonna have a lot of access there. Plus Nocturne always does, this is hilarious, look at them swapping the mid and top, back and forth, back and forth.
Just juggling it.
So we'll be locked in now. It's gonna be Licorice playing the Viktor into the Urgot here from Ssumday, and Nisqy will be grabbing the Aatrox into the Ryze. Very interesting.
Now, yesterday, one of the critiques that we had for 100 Thieves going up against TSM was the fact that their win conditions seemed a little constrained, right? So this time around, hopefully this team has found themselves a bit more opportunity to work around in a wider variety of situations to actually find that win. And it looks like they've got some good initiation tools. They've got plenty of damage in the team fight, so that should be the reality here.
Yeah, I really agree. I think that they have, strong engage. The Nocturne can actually support split push incredibly well, can defend some of those side laners. If they want to look for a 1-3-1 style of play with the Urgot and the Ryze, Nocturne can always be ready to fly in and support those team members. Some good scaling here with the Kai'Sa as well, so should be in for a really exciting game here.
You can hear the crowd getting excited. We're heading back into Summoner's Rift for the second time here today. Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. Two of the top 4 teams in almost everyone's opinion, and one will finish week 1 0-2. Neither wants to face that reality. Both have the chance to change it here.
Confidence is key. That is something that we hear time and time again from pros, from coaches. These players especially when you do have roster moves, you want to be able to build that confidence in your new teammates. Have them building confidence in you, right? Nisqy, a guy like him, he has some big shoes to fill coming into C9, taking the place of Jensen right after this roster, minus him, made semifinals at Worlds, so he really wants to impress, and that is a very cute dog.
I'm glad we have that cam. That's very important right now.
That is a very important camera. If dogs are allowed in the LCS studio, I would encourage everyone to bring their dogs, but I don't know if they are.
I think we have a rule against it in general, but I'm really glad there's an exception to that rule today. That makes the level 1 when normally you're just like, okay, everybody's just going to hang out, guard the entrances to the river.
The camera's gone.
Yeah, if we had a thing where every time the players would just agree in lobby, okay, everybody stand at river entrance, and we switched to a dog cam for the first 90 seconds, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
This is good. It's good. I like this. We'll snowball some ideas.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about this one in meetings during the week, and we'll get back to you guys next weekend. But it looks like both junglers are going to be starting off at their red buffs. Nothing really surprising about that one. See Ssumday offering the leash. Bottom side, it's only going to be Zeyzal helping out with the leash there for Svenskeren. Nisqy not going to miss out on anything here in the bottom lane. And Aphromoo will just hang out down there as well. Svenskeren moving immediately over the wall, going for the enemy blue buff.
Yeah,
that's a really quick.
Pretty interesting. So I think this is what I am understanding from the plan. They have Nisqy starting in lane with just the Braum leashing, so Nisqy is having the push there. You allow him to start that push a little bit earlier, then Sven can go straight to the blue, and you're going to have your bottom lane in a position where they should be able to rotate over and actually support if Svenskeren gets contested at that blue. So this seems like, pretty well thought out early game here from C9, and I do think that's an intelligent adaptation.
Nisqy will find a couple of mystic shots there early on, shove his opponents back a little bit. Nisqy versus Huhi here in the mid lane. Both of these champions, Aatrox and Ryze, are two of those guys that sometimes, if they're ahead in the mid game and you get hit by the full combo, you just think, what in the hell just hit me? So a lot of pop-off potential here. I wouldn't be surprised to see the junglers try to get involved in that.
Yeah, definitely the case. Some very good gank assists as well, if you can hit those Infernal Chains or even just the Ryze route straight up. With Svenskeren is heading over to his blue. Thieves, I don't believe, is actually aware that they have lost their own blue yet, so he is going to be able to get the triple buff and will be able to continue farming away. So a nice little early game advantage is going to be available there for Svenskeren, because as he picks up the rest of his farm, he's simply just going to have one more camp available.
Feels good, man, for the side of Cloud9, as they will maintain extra blue buff duration on their jungler as well, have it for a little bit longer, be able to make sure that you've got plenty of mana regen, extra cooldowns. As bottom side, it's Nisqy and Zeyzal forcing Bang and Aphromoo underneath the turret, maintaining that early lane control, like you mentioned, of Nisqy making sure he was in the lane, not losing anything to the leash. And they have a very slight CS lead for the time being, just making sure that they're making their opponents miss out on as much as possible. And even in the loss yesterday against TSM, Bang was looking good on the Lucian. We already talked about that a little bit. He's on a different pick this time around, but you're talking about a world caliber player. And right now, we've got a sideline report with Avli, so let's go ahead and check in on that.
Thanks, Flowers. I just talked to Coach Prawley about how the team's bouncing back from their loss against TSM yesterday. He said that primarily everyone else is ready to play today, but in particular, Ssumday was a little upset with himself that he didn't get to really show up and perform his best. But he's bringing that anger in today to motivate against Cloud9. Back to you.
Well, Huhi might be needing some motivation after that.
They're going to be needing more than motivation after that. Nisqy brings the pain down, gets himself the solo kill on Huhi.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, I hate to see that happen. Huhi, he got Infernal Chained up, he flashed, he didn't get out of the Infernal Chain, so he just gets pulled back in, gets solo killed, loses the flash in the process as well, and now is going to be so susceptible to a gank. Right now, you're a flashless Ryze, no TP available. Nisqy can base up, get a really strong buy. He's 15 CS ahead plus the first blood, and you could be looking to attack that mid lane. That is something you got to be so careful about. Exiting the side of the Infernal Chains instead of trying to go, lengthwise, where you're often going to get pulled back.
Serrated Dirk plus Longsword on that first back. It's Ryze with no armor. Granted, it is Aftershock Ryze, so he's a bit harder to kill than another one, but not that hard to kill when something like this happens.
Yeah, Huhi very low on mana, so Nisqy goes in, he hits the Q, and Huhi does try to get a trade back.
He flashed diagonally. That's the worst direction.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to create enough distance, so had he done that same flash but not done his full combo before doing it, you can flash horizontally. He can flash lengthwise and walk out of it before it expires, but because he did his full combo, then flashed the long way, he didn't quite have enough time. It gets pulled back from the very corner there, dying, and that is so tilting, honestly, to have that happen, because you waste the summoner, you get solo killed anyway, and it's going to put Nisqy in a great spot. We'll see if they can look to try to capitalize on that and really punish Huhi now that he's already down.
Nisqy must have heard all the criticisms yesterday about his early game not going the way that he would have liked it to, and he's saying, all right, well, let's go ahead and fix that up here for day 2. Has himself that 10 CS lead still. Svenskeren starting up an early Ocean Drake. I mentioned last game we saw a lot of attention paid towards the Ocean Drake early on, but nobody was able to secure it until about 11, 12 minutes. This time around, if Cloud9 can grab that for themselves 6 minutes into the game, it makes laning a lot easier.
It really does. I mean, 6-minute Ocean is actually an insane advantage. Ever since they did the first kind of dragon buffs, it is 6% of missing health and mana, does regen. That is really, really good when you're looking at champions like an Ezreal, like a Viktor who's pretty resource hungry, and even for Svenskeren, it's going to mean he never really is going to run out of health or mana in that jungle. So definitely a really nice advantage there for C9 early on.
Feels really good for them to pick it up. Feels really good to have that 1,000 gold lead over 100 Thieves here as well. CS even in the top lane. Pretty even here in the bottom lane. Slight edge for Sneaky, who will just keep farming up on this. Ezreal does have the tier. He's already stacking exactly where he wants to be. Teleport on the AD carry, something that we saw come into popularity in the past season or so. He has the ability to get back to lane very quickly, make sure he's got that buy instantly. Bang also with the TP, having got himself back to lane with a BF sword, means he has a lot more combat power right now than Sneaky does. But top side, it's Onda with the level 6 Paranoia ready to go. Nearsighted comes out,
no.
But oh, that is tragedy. A champion like Nocturne wants to get value out of every single ultimate. The cooldown on this ability is insane, 140 seconds. That's 2.5 minutes before that comes back up again. And if you're Cloud9, you're saying, all right, cool. We're not afraid of the dark. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just play without any respect to the jungler at this point in the game now, and until about 10 minutes. You really don't have to worry about him at all. That is a huge misstep there. Ssumday was not able to actually hit the flip. Licorice is very far back. I'm not sure if he lost vision or if they just realized, hey, we actually can't go for this anymore. But either way, a pretty big misplay there on the side of 100 Thieves, and they're going to be kicking themselves for that one.
And we had a conversation about this yesterday, but for those of you who weren't there, in League of Legends, a lot of the time, the threat of an ability can mean more than the actual use of the ability. Now there is no concern of that Nocturne ultimate for the next 2.5 minutes anywhere on the map for Cloud9, and it just opens up so many opportunities for this team. Really unfortunate turn of events there for the side of 100 Thieves, and especially for Onda, who on a champion that revolves around his ultimate is so ult-centric for making anything happen. Losing that first one hurts.
Yeah, I mean, in your ideal Nocturne game, you're very often just farming. As soon as your ultimate's up, you get a kill, go back to farming.
Yep, farm the entire cooldown. As soon as it's off cooldown, ult again.
Yep. Thankfully for them, though, Svenskeren has not really had any pressure either, right? So it's not at least like Camille is going everywhere, killing everyone. Nothing really has kind of gone that way. It's mostly just the difference as far as the farm in the lanes. The early dragon was kind of what Svenskeren got for himself, but so far, 100 Thieves is okay. The gold lead certainly is expanding for C9.
Ballooning very quickly, almost 2,000, 9 minutes into the game. You've got Kleptomancy on your top laner and your AD carry. That's going to contribute a lot to it. Your mid laner already got the solo kill early on.
And double turret plates.
Ssumday tries to go for the flash initiation onto Licorice, but Licorice with a quick flash of his own to escape, and returning some pain with the Chaos Storm means he'll maintain control over this lane top side.
Yep, first turret plate does go down on the bottom side as well, so C9 picking up a number of those. They have been pushing in all 3 lanes. We'll see if Svenskeren does want to get active. I really was expecting him to go mid lane after he got solo killed, had no flash. He doesn't elect to make that decision. Perhaps worried about, a potential counter gank or something along those lines. And
it is Aftershock Ryze. It's harder to dive. It's harder to kill instantly.
Definitely is. But 400 Thieves, at least, they've kind of made it through that window. And his ultimate is coming back up when we hit that 10-minute mark that we talked about. So C9 has to be wary once again. Has the stopwatch online, has the call fields for some CDR on that ultimate. So that is going to be nice for Anda's next one. And we'll see if he's going to be able to actually get out there and make something happen with it.
We're talking a lot about ultimates, and everybody's ultimate is online right now. Supports have crested level 6. Usually those are going to be the last guys on the map to find it, so that means once these fights do break out, they are going to break out with full force and fury. Aphromoo down to about half HP, forced back underneath the turret here in the bottom side yet again. It's CS advantages everywhere across the board for Cloud9, except for the top lane there, which is a slight lead to 100 Thieves, but when you've got Kleptomancy, a lead's not really a lead, is it, Phil?
It's often not, as long as that guy is using it well. And a backup here, we're looking for round 2.
Seeing if maybe he can find that play on
Svenskeren
Licorice. He knows there's
around
no
also.
flash on Licorice or on Ssumday.
Here comes Nisqy.
On the moving down through the river. Nisqy and Svenskeren both there working on Shelly. Svenskeren's still mostly full HP. Licorice trying to keep himself safe here. Wants to get away from Onda. A nice stasis to keep himself safe, but the Harpoon's already made its way into the Cloud9 top laner. Going to be pulling him back, looking to find the fear. Ssumday grabs the kill, but is he going to be taken down himself? Answer is yes. Nisqy's able to make it a 1-for-1. Zeyzal's made his way up into the top lane along with Aphromoo, but the ghost will fall, and Cloud9 gets themselves 2.
Cloud9 gets 2 for 1. And I almost don't even want to point it out, but the saddest part of this play is during that, Huhi actually TP'd from base to the Nexus turret. So he actually misclicked that TP on the minimap. I'm not sure if he was trying to TP to the fight on the top side of the map and support if they were depending on that. That is certainly, not the start that Huhi wanted to have happen. Using the teleport basically on top of yourself, it's a big mistake.
Yeah, that's a critical, just mechanical error on his part, and you can see the cost of it. I mean, even sometimes just seeing that teleport beam come down on top of a minion could have been enough to dissuade Cloud9 from fighting any further, but since that doesn't happen, Cloud9 takes a pretty big lead for themselves there. On the top side, it gives them control over this bottom side now with the tempo and the momentum of the game favoring them. Infernal Drake is up, Svenskeren's already in the pit. Cloud9 looking to control this one. Aphromoo going in onto the front line, trying to tank up, trying to block these guys. The Infernal is stolen by Onda and 100 Thieves, and this is what this squad needed. Licorice now going to be stuck there in the pit. Huhi nearly taken down, goes into the stasis. Licorice burned out before he can be taken down as Huhi goes over the wall with the Realm Warp. Cloud9 heads for the hills, and 100 Thieves find their chance to strike back, but Huhi stays too long. He's going to end up getting himself killed, and the Thieves retreat.
Nice steal there from Onda. 100 Thieves really needed that one. They're falling pretty far behind in the gold department. They are able to get a kill. They are able to get the dragon, and Sneaky maybe only get one back.
Aphromoo does get taken down, but now Onda swooping in. The paranoia will find its way onto Sneaky. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Nicely done there by Onda, staying around. They do get the kill onto Sneaky, and this will allow them to push in. And I mean, Sneaky's going to lose a fair bit of that farm, but meanwhile, Nisqy farming those plates. It's gold for dinner plate.
So much money in his pockets. This is a rich Aatrox. He'll go back to base with solo first turret gold with 5 plates.
Yeah, so here's the TP. If you look up in the top, unfortunately from Huhi, that to me is probably a mini-map misclick.
Yeah.
Where you have your screen in the position where that's the kind of the ward you're trying to go to is in the bottom right. You click the mini-map. So unfortunate for him, but to the dragon fight, 100 Thieves needed something to go their way.
And they got it.
And they do get the Infernal Dragon. That is very, very big for them. Onda able to pick that up. They get the kill on Licorice. They get this, and they do get the eventual trade onto Sneaky, but not before Huhi has gone down one more time.
Huhi had a really good stopwatch there too. He kept himself alive when he was dead to rights to Licorice, but then he just goes too far forward here. Huhi's really got to reset his mental right now. There's been a few errors this game, and those errors need to stop for 100 Thieves to have a chance going forward. They've stabilized a bit now. They're still down 3,000 gold though, and they are fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, sometimes can compound. When you make one mistake, you're like, well, I gotta get it back. I gotta kind of atone for my mistake.
You're working against yourself at that point.
Yeah, and it can make you make mistakes that you wouldn't otherwise be having. So C9 does start up the Rift. I don't think they're gonna commit to it just yet. But Nisqy is ridiculously strong.
Oh, that damage. He's got the Yumu's, he's got both parts of the cleaver, and he's got Huhi's number. Svenskeren will take the kill, but now Onda's the man in trouble. The Hextech ultimatum is issued, the death warrant is signed, and Nisqy's the man with pin in hand. He's got himself his 3rd kill of the game. 3, 0, and 2 on this Aatrox.
Yeah, Nisqy is just ridiculously strong at this point, and now he wants Ssumday as well.
No reason to stop. He goes forward. He's got the flash into the Q3. It'll take Ssumday low. It won't take him down. He'll live to tell the tale, but he has to hobble away from this.
Yeah, I mean, he was already up in farm, already had the kills. Then he collected all the plates solo on the mid lane turret, got the solo first turret gold as well. He's almost 3,000 gold ahead of his counterpart there in the mid lane, which is an absurd lead at 15 minutes. So certainly Nisqy in position to really take over this game.
When you look at the difference between the teams and consider the fact that over half of the gold difference is Nisqy to Huhi, that's insane. For one player to be half of the gold difference, but it shows up in plays like this.
It really does. He has the confidence to move forward. He waits enough time to know that Zeyzal is going to be there to support him. Pops the ult, going to move in. Svenskeren coming in to collapse. They pick up the first easy kill, and then there's no way out for Onda. No reason to even use your ultimate there, so that is the correct choice.
Coming into this season, this split, people were saying, look, Jensen's gone from Cloud9. He was a staple on that team for a long time. Nisqy's got some big shoes to fill. Well, performances like this, Nisqy's saying, well, hey,
got some big feet.
I got some big feet, my friend. We're going to fill those shoes, and right now he is doing it. Black Cleaver already completed 16 minutes into the game. The man has 2 completed items with his completed boots. This is a very scary prospect for 100 Thieves, because not only is this a fed mid laner that's got a lot of damage, he's a fed mid laner with a lot of damage and a revive passive. So he's that much revive ultimate passive, I guess I should say. But he's that much harder to shut down than anybody else would be. Yeah. And as long as Cloud9 can properly play around Nisqy and this lead he has built, they are in a great spot heading into the mid game.
They really are. You know, one of the kind of bright spots, though, you have to say 400 Thieves is at least, you know, Bang has been farming pretty well, has a kill for himself. You do have very strong late game on the Kai'Sa. I'm going to be interested to see what Onda is actually going for with this Kindle gem, because that is very rare to see a Nocturne picking that up. Cleaver? I don't know if this is, you know, it could just be going straight into the Cleaver once that early CDR. A lot of people do go Dustblade, but this is kind of the more defensive build, perhaps, feeling like, hey, I don't have as much early gold, so going to be just going for the Cleaver. Yeah, if he goes Knight's Vow, that's really like the welfare build.
Yeah,
it's probably still a Cleaver, which is obviously totally fine.
That's the Nocturne on hard times. When your guy is supposed to be a ballistic missile is building up, please don't kill my friend, bro item. That's not where you want to see him at, but Svenskeren diving in here in the mid lane, going after Ssumday. The follow-up PC is there. A nice Realm Warp. Huhi doing a great job helping Ssumday out there. Exactly what you want.
Yeah, that was a great play from Huhi, saving Ssumday from certain death, but it is C9 moving towards this Infernal Dragon. Last one was stolen by Onda. He is around with his ultimate up, and they are going to look to contest this at the very least. 100 Thieves may just try to start this up. C9 does have mid pressure, and this is certainly going to be a fight. Aphromoo looking for the flank.
100 Thieves trying to rush down the Infernal, recognizing they can't do it in time. They're going to take it down to about half. Aphromoo will come around from behind. Infernal take down to about 2k HP. Cloud9 trying to get themselves back into the pit. Stays the jungler. Svenskeren trying to keep himself around. Aphromoo going to be taken low. Damage coming down to both sides, but it's 2 dead for 100 Thieves. Make them 98 now. They're about to lose their third. Huhi will fall. The Drake goes over to Cloud9, and everything goes their way.
C9 get it all. They get the 3 kills. They take the Infernal. They're going to pick up the bottom turret here also. And they already pushed in mid lane turret there too. So here it is one more time. Aphro going in for the engage, but the follow-up is not really there. Onda doesn't have the confidence to go in. Bang is not going to ult in. Huhi and Ssumday had already kind of been poked out by Ezreal, so C9 just take over the fight.
Alistar is very tanky with his ultimate up, but when your opponents are this strong, he just can't last against a 5-man beatdown.
He really can't, and credit to C9 for poking out those members. You know, they didn't have the full health bars that may have given them the confidence to actually go in after that and really try to clean someone up, and you can see Ssumday not able to really get involved in that fight whatsoever.
49 damage feels like he shot a minion with a shotgun knee, and the splash off to the side of it hit a champion.
Yeah, maybe one tick of W or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was not a lot of damage. Unfortunately, when you're Urgot, you want to be right in the middle. You want to be just throwing damage out every single possible direction, literally with the passive, and that's not what he found himself able to do. And now, 100 Thieves, 7,000 gold behind.
Yeah.
Not even 20 minutes into this game. It's an incredible mountain for them to climb, and you're at the point, Ezreal, where you're depending on Cloud9 to mess up.
Yeah, you really are. I mean, you can say we're scaling, you know, play for late. This sort of thing is kind of
Don't worry, we scale the solo queue classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at, right? You're like, well, bang, we're going to try to live 20 minutes, and then you got to carry us, right?
Kai'Sa types I1v9 trust, don't die.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so tough because C9 is so far ahead. They have a lot of ability to engage. They have a lot of ability to force. It's not like they're some composition that can't siege, that can't force objectives.
Right.
So they have a lot of tools that they need to really close this one out. Ridiculously fed Aatrox. Ezreal's on 3 items, can both poke and siege effectively. They can take down objectives fairly well. They have, you know, a TP to actually cover and answer both sides of the map with Nisqy and Licorice too.
And look at all the items that are coming up. These are the, we are going to continue to snowball the game, and you won't be able to stop us even if we go too far items. Hourglass for Licorice. You've got the stopwatch plus the Sterix for Svenskeren. Nisqy working on a Sterix of his own. Sneaky's already got the Muramana completely charged, working on the Seraph's Embrace now with the Archangels already built. This team is so far ahead, it is frightening. Nisqy looking to get himself away now from Onda, dashes over the wall.
Yep.
And despite the fact that 100 Thieves commits a big ulti, they get the ulti out of Nisqy, but he doesn't even have to blow the summoner spell, dashes away to safety, and there's no more follow-up from the Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be happy with that trade, especially because he has so much CDR. And look at all this poke from Nisqy. Does have to be a little bit careful.
Much damage done to Aphromoo. Zeyzal decides to go for the Glacial Fissure, finding a couple of knockups, but the distance is still too great for now. Over the wall goes Nisqy, finds the Infernal Chains down onto Ssumday, brings him back, but that's still a bit too tanky of a target to go all in on without an ultimate of his own. And Cloud9 just seems completely unfazed by anything.
Yeah, they don't need to push because, you know, Licorice is in the bot side getting that wave going. They're going to have top wave going for them. And it is the Knight's Vow build that's going to be coming out of Onda, right? You know, he's just, it's all eggs in the Kai'Sa basket, I think, at this point. But I don't even know if he's going to be in range for the leash unless Bang also ults in with him. So, you know, it's really going to be tough, I think, for this team. Bang does have his Rage Blade, which he can put out a lot of damage now, but Sneaky's already on 3 items. He is outranged by a lot of these champions, and if you get in the face of this Aatrox, he's going to light you up.
If you get in the face of Aatrox, yes, Onda now just getting too close to Zeyzal and Svenskeren, and Sneaky says thanks for the long-range freebie. They deliver it to him on a silver platter. But even if you try to dive, all right, so looking at this composition on the side of Cloud9, I'm seeing 2 targets you could ult as Onda/Bang, like, duo there, right? You go for Viktor or you go for Ezreal, both of which have evasive maneuvers and both of which have armor items.
Yeah, and there's a Zonia's on Licorice, there's a stopwatch on Svenskeren, there's an Iceborne, and soon to be probably the Archangel's shield as well. Plus, as you say, the shield and the dash. So Free Baron going the way of C9. They are 10,000 gold ahead, 22 minutes in. And this one is looking all but wrapped up.
Cloud9 saying, yeah, we lost yesterday, but that was to Liquid. This is still a team that is very, very scary looking. This is still a team that has had the most international success of any team from North America ever, period, bar none. I can't think of any more words to describe it, but it needs more because of just how successful they've been there. And it's because of the way they work as a team. There's something about Cloud9 that makes these guys succeed in a way that other teams cannot. And that's why it's good to see this team bringing in a new mid laner, working together so coherently already. You gotta wonder, what's the limit for these guys?
Yeah, I mean, these players obviously have a tremendous amount of talent, but there is something extra there too, right? You have to give credit to the organization, give credit to the coaching. Reaper, obviously a fantastic coach. Jack, a very involved owner, and that certainly, I think, contributes. The entire C9 staff really does contribute to their success, you know, on that level. And these players, they certainly do have a very high ceiling, and it's going to be exciting to watch Nisqy throughout this year and follow his growth and see, you know, just how good he can get with this C9 team.
5-0-3. 3 items completed plus boots. He's looking pretty good right now. His team going up to about 11,000 gold lead, taking down their 5th turret of the game, the Thieves, with only 1 to their name, as Cloud9 will continue to push here. It's a 4-man push in the top side. Licorice hovering between the top and mid lanes as Cloud9 decides it's time to start knocking on the door here in the top lane.
Yeah, this is the point in the game where as 100 Thieves, you're just pinging the bounties and trying to ask people to not forfeit. You're like, well, but if we get those bounties, though,
Big
we
bounty.
got this.
Just kill Aatrox. Just kill the Aatrox. Svenskeren has hysterics pop, goes into the stasis, gets himself away now. Counterattack coming out. Ssumday going into a stasis of his own. Honda tries to escape. You can't spell shield autos, man. Bang's trying to get himself out. Nisqy still just in that ultimate. He'll resurrect from the Bloodwell. Cloud9 have found themselves a single kill, but they've made the health bars on the rest of the Thieves so low, they have to retreat back into the fountain anyway. Cloud9 still with at least half HP on everyone. Aphromoo wants to go in. He's taken very low. He's taken all the way down. Svenskeren gets himself away. Ssumday can't even frontline. The Chaos Storm will chase them back as 100 Thieves stands only 3 men strong. The minion wave is there. The enemy team is there. Cloud9, ladies and gentlemen, are there. And 25 minutes in, they will take that Nexus.
What a performance from Cloud9. Absolute dominance here against 100 Thieves. And Cloud9 going to be able to bounce back 1-1 on the weekend. A couple of very tough opponents, but a very encouraging second game for the C9 fans. And for 100 Thieves, it's back to the drawing board a bit. A lot of things to work on, a lot of things to fix coming out of this weekend if they do want to be competing for those top spots in the league, because we just saw what the best teams in the league can look like, and 100 Thieves was not up to the challenge yesterday or today.
And Cloud9, though, did look really up to the challenge here today. Again, a lot of the criticisms that I heard yesterday were Nisqy's early laning, Nisqy's early game didn't seem that impressive, and today he just flipped the switch. He said, okay, fine. If you really want to see what early laning can look like, he solo kills his opponent. He transitions it into a wonderful mid game where he constantly is aware of his champion's power level, knows when he can go in, and knows when he can build and extrapolate that lead even further. And it was just a pleasure to watch this guy on Aatrox.
It really was. He had an incredible game. You know, definitely was, I think, gifted someone that lead. Some mistakes from Huhi really did get him that advantage, but he really capitalized on the mistakes that Huhi made, and then he ran with it. He took over the game, and you know, I am kind of left wondering, you know, what do we think about Bang? Because again, he didn't really make any mistakes this game, but it felt like the game is decided
fell apart around him.
before he is really involved, both yesterday and today. So, you know, we have yet to see really what he is going to look like, I feel like, in this league.
Well, rough start for 100 Thieves, but a fantastic day, too, here for Cloud9. And to get how Nisqy's feeling after that monstrous performance, let's send it down to Ovly for an interview.
Thanks, Flowers. Nisqy, is Aatrox a champion that your enemy should ever let you play again?
I don't think anyone should ever play Aatrox or just leave it open, because I think it's just too OP right now, at least.
Well, congratulations on the win. Cloud9 is ending their weekend 1-1. And I mean, you guys did play against 2 tough teams with Team Liquid and 100 Thieves. So what did you think about your first weekend's performance?
I mean, we played the 2 best teams, I'd say, in the region right now. So I'm quite happy that we won today, at least, because after yesterday, we really needed 1 win. Also, I think yesterday could have been a win if I played better, at least. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of owed my team 1 game, and I'm happy that I played really good today.
And what do you think about Cloud9 so far? Because the way that we see Cloud9, they're a little bit of the meme team. They have the coach that likes to publicly flame his players, but at the same time, they're the first North American team to make it to semifinals at Worlds. So what's your experience been like with them so far?
I mean, it's just an environment where everyone's just happy and just joking around, which is really nice, I think. And it's also really easy to get feedback that way, rather than all being like sad or like just flaming each other behind our backs. You know, we'd rather just flame each other, but like in a funny way, and that's what makes us good, I guess.
And really quick, how good is it to be back in NA?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Well, Nisqy, congratulations again and welcome back. And that's it for us here. Let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Ovly. C9 striking back after a loss yesterday against Team Liquid to move to 1-1. 100 Thieves, on the other hand, still searching for their first win, finishing week 1 0-2. But across the world, within the first couple weeks of professional play, we've been seeing the prevalence of flex picks. And even Vedius just last week, or just this week on the LEC, had a big segment where he's talking about the power of flex picks. We kind of have our first example here in North America of those flex picks really coming into play.
Yeah, and there's 2 cool things in the draft. One being how many flex picks there were, and you saw after they were all locked in, both teams kind of swapping around a little bit, messing with each other. And then they ended up with the lane assignments where they had the Viktor versus the Urgot and the Aatrox and the Ryze mid. The other thing, though, was, of course, the Ryze pick to give priority to the jungle last pick for Onda, which I was pretty surprised at seeing that.
Right. Usually you only save a last pick for a jungler if you have one, like some kind of random champion you want to bust out, or two, you're trying to counter the enemy jungle. Here it looked like they wanted to see the enemy mid laner pick to see if they could pick like a jungler to abuse him or something like that. Like Ryze plus X can gank mid really hard. But then Tina on the flip side switched Aatrox with Viktor and sent Viktor to the top, which I don't actually know why they would do, because Nocturne could kill Viktor top easier. But Licorice played that super well, died like maybe once during lane phase, and that wasn't even his fault. And he just did it super well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to watch those mind games kind of develop. The chips fell as they did, and you already listed the matchups. We had the Viktor versus Urgot in the top lane, and the Aatrox versus the Ryze in the mid lane. That's the one I want to hyper-focus on. Nisqy yesterday had to go up against Jensen, the guy he replaced this time around. Huhi, the guy that we were touting as Mr. Consistent, the guy who will hold his lane. And yet, he falls down to Nisqy multiple times.
Yeah, a bunch of problems out of Huhi here, and there was even the questionable rune choice of the Aftershock, where, like, Aatrox has pretty good sustained damage. You think you want Phase Rush to kite out the melee as well as get out of the W chains, and didn't really ever work out that way. And in the meantime, Nisqy is just tearing the map up after getting that initial kill. Is able to follow up and protect that Viktor in the top lane that, Hai was saying, is a little exposed to these kinds of ganks, but because they had so much mid control, they easily roamed up, and Huhi failed to follow up with the TP.
Right. To talk about his mistakes a little bit, like, I'm not a pro player anymore, but I can understand where he's coming from. He's trying to get the wave in so that it pushes. But one, his wave was already going to push back to him. And two, he had money for Tear of the Goddess anyway. So I don't really know why he risked his life to try and get that wave in when it was already going to go to his side in his favor. And he had the money he needed for his first item. So just back up, TP back with your Tear of the Goddess, a pink ward, and some pots, and you'd be fine.
And this is intriguing to me because one of the things we talked about just yesterday in reference to this 100 Thieves squad was that Huhi would be a boon to them in being able to maybe hold the middle of the map and extend advantages to their all-star top laner in Ssumday, or down to the bot lane with, Aphromoo being the shot caller and Bang a very stable AD carry. But now we've seen what happens when the middle of the map collapses.
Right, and I mean, to be fair, I've always said Huhi's a little bit more volatile than Ryu is. Like, I think he is prone to some, plays like this. Like we say, he's played the Katarina before and would sometimes just, either go boom or bust. But this was a Ryze pick. This was not an assassin pick. This was picked to be a stable part of the middle of the map and follow up on Nocturne plays around the map. So this is really concerning. This is also the second game. Ssumday hasn't looked fantastic. There was a failed E to try and set up the initial Nocturne gank that all fell apart. And so this team is, in my opinion, really struggling to actually coordinate together on anything.
Right, and I think something important to know that game was the bot lane as well. So Bang, once again, in 2 games in a row, he really hasn't gotten to do anything. He's 1-0-1, good farm, but the way that C9 played that game was actually pretty crazy. They let Ezreal start in the lane, they let the Braum leash only, so the entire time bot lane, Ezreal's just shoving in, and it has this lead and it has this pressure over. So they get the early dragon because bot lane has pressure, and that's something they just kept throughout the game. So not only does Huhi dying mid really hurt them, the fact that they don't have pressure bot too, they just have an entire side of the map where they can't do anything. And then you see them try to gank top, and Licorice doesn't die, he just stays alive. So there's nothing 100 Thieves could do.
Team definitely isn't firing on all cylinders just yet. You touched a little bit on how it's hard to determine or necessarily nail down Bang's debut performance here in the LCS. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that the team around him hasn't put him or given him the opportunity to showcase anything to us. He's just basically been farming for 2 games on the LCS stage while they kind of lose the rest of the map.
But there hasn't really been a team fight for 100 Thieves in either game, right? Where it's an even team fight. They're both going into it, and we can see Bang move around the fight or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's happened. I think he's just been in his base farming, guys, can we fight, guys? And then they just don't win the fight.
It's partially symptomatic to the marksman role right now, where they don't have super high agency, but you still see other teams that are functioning better as a unit enable their marksmen to do more. Doublelift had a pretty good performance yesterday. We've seen Turtle have two pretty monstrous games. Sven had a huge game on Ezreal, and for whatever reason, the entire team of 100 Thieves collapses before Bang can do anything.
Yeah, we have FlyQuest being our first team to 2-0 with the previous game. We now have our first 0-2 team in 100 Thieves, and so taking another look at playoff prospects, as history has dictated, only a 37% playoff conversion rate if you start your first week 0-2. So for 100 Thieves, that's definitely going to look scary. Of course, you got to take into consideration strength of schedule, who they were playing and whatnot, and the idea that, hey, they could improve and shore up a lot of these weaknesses and still very much make a run towards playoffs.
It's scary for me because, like, yes, you played probably what a lot of people place as the 1 and 2 teams, but you also didn't look good in either of the games. Like, you didn't really do anything positive that a fan could latch on to and be like, well, we just got to clean this stuff up because we have this thing going really well right here. Like, I don't know what this is right now. Like, Bang's farming, like, it's really scary as a fan.
They have, like I talked about earlier, or yesterday rather, they had 2 hard carries in the top and their bot lane, right? But we haven't really seen that. Like, to be fair, there's only a 2-game sample size, so there's a lot to go from. But watching Ssumday play, it hasn't been that impressive. Maybe it's because he's playing weird champions like Viktor and Urgot. I don't know. But if they're going to be the hard carries for their team, that's what they set the team up to be, then they need to, like, do these things where they're going to, like, pop off, you know?
So in an ideal world, what do they come out and show you next week, Mark, to kind of to give you some more confidence moving forward?
If Bang and Aphro were taking turret plating and shoving people in and destroying them, if Ssumday was doing the same thing, if they were getting solo kills in lanes, if Onda was getting early leads, but then they were kind of throwing later, like if they had some good part to latch onto, then you'd be like, well, at least they just need to shore up this
Control
one
mid, group Huhi and Onda to actually go bot lane and make a play. But definitely a little bit more setup, a little bit more strategic thinking around the map, and definitely not falling down.
I mean, the bar is set pretty low for what they need to do to be better, right? They've kind of entered 15, 20 minutes, both games so far, being super behind. And it's just like, I just want to see him do one even team fight where he can actually see, hey, is Bang actually like one of the best AD carries in NA?
Show us what you got from even footing. When we return, Team Liquid face off against Counterlogic Gaming. We'll see you here after the break.
We'll be starting the game in about 20 seconds, guys.
Okay, all right.
Hey, ref, what do I do if a player steals my mouse and licks it, hypothetically? Let's not say it happened.
Find the fear. Ssumday grabs the kill, but is he going to be taken down himself? Answer is yes. Nisqy's able to make it a 1-for-1. Zeyzal's made his way up into the top lane along with Aphromoo.
Camille's really low.
Tony Camille. Nice. Viktor, no push, in the pit, no push.
Okay.
He's got Huhi's number. Svenskeren will take the kill, but now Onda's the man in trouble. The Hextech ultimatum is issued. The death warrant is signed.
Nocturne.
Flash is dead.
I'm good.
Right.
I can Q flash.
We can kill these guys. No flashes.
Rise.
I'm finishing dragon.
Yeah, I got dragon.
Aphromoo wants to go in. He's taken very low. He's taken all the way down. Svenskeren gets himself away. Ssumday can't even frontline the Chaos Storm. Cloud9, ladies and gentlemen, are there. And 25 minutes in, they will take that Nexus.